The modern healthcare system won't help you heal.
It's designed to keep you sick and dependent on drugs.
If you want to get well, you got to get out of the system.
You found Predictive Health Clinic.
Join us as we get well and stay healthy.
Hey folks, it's the Predictive Health Clinic podcast. Thanks for joining us. I am joined today by Cari Kamp. I met Cari, a couple of weekends ago at Low Carb Arizona. I liked what she had to say. I thought she'd be a good guest for the podcast. Cari, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Before we get into the questions that frame this conversation, give us a real quick bio. Who are you? What do you do?
All right. So I'm Cari Kamp. I'm a certified health and wellness coach. I focus on nutrition and help people change their lifestyles and change their health conditions just by changing what they eat.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, very simple.
All right. So I would guess that we may talk about food, but I'll ask the question anyway. What one specific health issue do you want to address today?
I'm going to talk about insulin resistance because it affects so many people in different ways. And it's such a simple thing once you understand what it is.
First, let's define it and then talk about why you got interested in it.
Yeah, so insulin resistance insulin is a hormone, and actually it is being resisted from helping getting glucose into the cell. And so what happens is when there's excess glucose or sugar in the bloodstream, it causes inflammation, which in the long run causes type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, dementia, things like that.
What got you interested in this?
All right. So about 12 years ago, I actually went in for my annual exam and they told me that my A1C was high and that I was pre-diabetic and I needed to go on medication. I was thin. I was working out about 4 days a week. I thought that I was eating healthy. And I was really surprised. And I was in the medical field for about 20 years. And so I went and asked some of my friends who are doctors, and they all agreed that I just needed to go on medication. That was not something that I wanted to do. And so that's why I started this journey of changing my health by really understanding what I was eating and what was causing inflammation for me.
These are the best stories, the ones that started with a personal need. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard, I thought I was healthy. I went into the doctor. They tested me. My A1C was high and I was pre-diabetic, and they told me they needed to put me on drugs. I swear to God, the doctors have a script they follow and they just recite that. Okay, I'm going to stop my rant now. We'll get back. I don't promise that it won't come back.
I think that's awesome because people need to understand that I have the same rant, and that's my purpose in life because it's personal to help people.
So what's one of the biggest popular misconceptions about this particular issue, insulin resistance?
That you have to take medication, that it's just going to get worse if you don't take medication. And that is probably one of the biggest misconceptions because it can be reversed like mine, and people can improve quickly. I mean, within weeks by changing what they eat and really understanding what is causing the glucose to be so high, right? With the sugar and the carbs and the things that break down into sugar. So that is one of the biggest myths that I'm out there, making sure people understand that's not true.
I want to underline this. If you're listening and you've had a doctor say to you, hey, your A1C is high, you're pre-diabetic, and you need to take drugs, we're talking to you.
Yes, we are.
Okay, I love this question. What's the most likely outcome if people don't take positive action?
They are going to go from oral, like metformin insulin, to injectables. What happens is they start to get neuropathy in their retina, where they start to lose vision. End stage, they can have neuropathy in their feet and their hands. They can lose toes, arms. If they have a cut or anything, it heals very slow. Sometimes it doesn't heal at all. And the other thing, which I deal with a lot of clients with, is dementia, which is type 3 diabetes. It's just insulin resistance of the brain. So we don't want any of those things. And it doesn't mean that you can't eat amazing food. We just have to choose differently.
DeLon, my wife was asking about this. We were talking with somebody this weekend. I don't remember who it was. But for her and for me, I want to clarify. Alzheimer's is a category of dementia. is it Alzheimer's that's specifically type 3 diabetes, or is it basically just the whole category of dementia? Not
It's,
that
you
it
know what?
matters if you've got it, but
For sure. I think the thing is that some of the Alzheimer's, it's with a gene, but there's very few people that have that gene. And this is what I say to people. We all may have a certain gene, but what triggers the inflammation for it to turn on, right? So dementia is the brain is no longer, and I don't know if I'm answering, it is a category and Alzheimer has its own category, but it is all dementia because the brain is no longer functioning on glucose at all. I mean, sometimes it's different plaques, and that's a whole nother thing. But, for
right.
the majority, it is based on, it's no longer functioning on glucose. So when we are eliminating the glucose and people are getting out of a sugar burn, carb burn, and they're actually burning healthy fats and they're releasing ketones are the most efficient fuel for the brain and for the body. And all of a sudden, people who are not able to function very well mentally are actually functioning very well because they're using ketones instead of the glucose, which does not work for them anymore.
You kind of jumped the gun on the next question, which was what's the specific action you take to prevent and or recover from this? So let's go into more detail.
Okay. So, I do a specific coaching program for each client is different because it's based on a lifestyle. If I'm actually coaching somebody about different foods, whether it's Italian or Thai food, and they don't like those foods, it's never going to work. So it has to be a lifestyle where they're learning how to understand what are different vegetables that are going to break down into sugar that act just like sugar. What are the 65 names of sugar that aren't always on the front of the box or the label, right? That everyone looks for honey or cane sugar, but they don't look for maltodextrin and dextrose and high fructose corn syrup and things that act just like sugar, if not worse. So when it comes down to it, what are the things that are causing the trigger for this person? Of course, we have things that overlap on everybody, but we're really looking at what is in your lifestyle, whether they eat a lot of rice, that's, their staples are rice. I'm from Minnesota, whether it's potatoes and corn, all those things break down into sugar. And our food is no longer the same as it was 100 years ago. Corn used to be, small and bitter and very minimal sugar, where now it's about 800% more sugar in corn. So we're looking at all that. And it's not to say that everything is bad, but when you are already sensitive and you are at a place where your body is inflamed, we just need to find the things that you can eat. Healthy meats, there's lots of great vegetables you can still eat. Eggs, if you don't have an issue with dairy, that's okay too. It just depends on the person. So it's really looking at what is a lifestyle that will work for you, that you can, if you need to lose some weight, that's an issue too, right? Because all those things are a compound effect for the body not to function as well as it should.
I don't know how to proceed beyond the point where it starts to get real specific person to person. Are there some general diet type, are there some general food choices that are true for everybody, either
Yes.
good or bad?
Yes. One is, if you're doing grass-fed meats, you want to do grass-fed meats, you want to do organic eggs, chicken, you want wild fish. That is as a whole, right? So we just don't want to be exposed to things that pesticides, things that are in the feed, things like that. The other thing is oils. Oils are such an easy thing for everybody to change. So we all need healthy oils in our body. We need at least 50 grams of healthy fat every single day because that helps us with our brain, with our hormones. We have 50 different hormones. It's really important that we have those healthy fats so our body will function well. But the problem is when we're doing canola oil, vegetable oil, corn oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, those have more inflammation by eating just even a small amount, more inflammation to the body and the brain than smoking or sugar. So it's in everything. It's when you go, and get French fries, or when you're getting mayonnaise, it's either soybean or it's canola oil. And that is just get something with avocado oil. Switch to grass-fed butter if you don't have a dairy issue, coconut oil, olive oil, those things, right? So ghee, beef tallow, if you're doing carnivore, there are definitely some simple things. I think the other thing is you can still have sweets if that's what you like to do, but don't make them with sugar. There's so many different things that are out there that are healthy: allulose, monk fruit, stevia. You want to make sure that it's not like stevia in the raw, because the raw part actually is raw sugar, which that's, just a marketing ploy. So if you're reading labels, check and actually read the ingredients. If you don't know what's in there, don't buy it. When it comes to something on the front of a bag, if it says keto or healthy or natural, but you flip it over and once again, it's a lot of added sugars, that's not going to be a good choice. So those are just a couple simple things. Some people are very highly sensitive to gluten. And I think a lot of people think gluten is kind of a fad. It's not. It's actually really inflammatory and it's in a lot of grains. I like to explain it kind of like wallpaper paste, where it kind of just coats the intestinal tract, and it really just makes, causes a lot of issue of irritable bowel, different things like that, GI issues. So some simple things that you can just change and eliminate them and see how you do. And in a couple weeks, if you put those things back in, all of a sudden your stomach is distended, or you don't sleep good and you have a splitting headache or whatever it may be, your body is pretty much telling you, okay, I'm glad you eliminated that. Please don't put it back.
It occurs to me that there are, because I live in this small little ecosystem of people who are passionate about metabolic health, there are a lot of things that are everybody in this little world of ours knows. But it occurs to me, first of all, that's not most of the world. And secondly, the people that aren't in this little world may not actually have thought about the fact what you just said. If you don't eat it for a while and then you eat it and you have a reaction, your body's telling you, hey, you don't need to do this. My wife, her grandparents had a wheat farm. They were wheat farmers. And so she grew up eating, like all of us did, eating bread, but she was eating bread, from the farm, and then transitioned to the stuff from the store shelf after she went off and got married. And when we met, I introduced her to this nutty lifestyle, and she quit eating wheat products. And almost instantly, she noticed that her joints stopped hurting. And apparently with her, the grains, specifically wheat, immediately trigger inflammation in her joints. I mean, like within a couple of hours. It's astonishing. So it makes it a lot easier for her to skip that. Okay, let's talk about your practice in particular. I like to hear about this. Great compliments and biggest complaints.
Okay. What you're just saying about your wife, one of the biggest things that I see that, is a surprise for everyone, because we just don't ever know, is I've had clients that they were told that they have genetic joint issues and that they will have pain for the rest of their life. And they've been in pain for 20 years. And all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, it's gone. It's been almost
Wow.
2 years. He had also had 3 different surgeries, 11 pieces of metal in his ankle, hip, and knee, and there is no pain. So he knows what now inflames him. He can go for walks and working out, and he's in his late 50s, and that's kind of phenomenal. I think the other thing is people who haven't been able to lose weight, like at all. They've tried everything, every diet, are losing weight. People with severe autoimmune issues, their levels are going down to, within the optimal lower ranges quickly. And so I do a 30-day program. 99% of people do not need me after 30 days because it's consecutively every day. And we want to look at what they're doing every day to see what those triggers are. The other thing is people who have severe, like psoriasis and different dermatitis, that they've been to 5 different doctors and they're on medications. And we find out 2 weeks later that it's nightshades, right? That it's peppers and tomatoes, and nobody talks about nutrition. So when we look at it as a whole, a lot of times people, when they're craving things, it's things that they actually are allergic to. And so get them through the cravings. But I think that's the thing. They're sleeping better. Their moods are better. Their cognitive is better. They don't have the brain fog. They're just kind of more at peace because they don't have all the inflammation from all the sugar and carbs. And, sometimes they say, I've been a little crabby, and they just have a better disposition. So that's the positive. The one thing that I hear that everybody complains about, and I just worked with a gentleman that got out of the hospital a couple of days ago, and he said, I went through and we talked about things, and he said, how come I've never heard this before? How come nobody knows about this? And that is the biggest complaint, is how can people have things on labels of food And that's my biggest thing is transparency, and tell us that it's sugar-free when it's not. Tell us it's healthy that it's not. And that is my number one complaint. Besides, going through kind of the carb withdrawals, it's hard. It's a bridge. And that's why I help people through that, because when you've been eating a lot of carbs and sugar, and even though it may not be cane sugar, whether it's lots of fruit and different things that break down into sugar, the body is not happy about you giving that up, but in the long run, it will be better and it will function better. But those are the two kind of challenges getting through the program.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Uh,
Mhm.
All right, this is my favorite question, the billboard question. If you could deliver just one message about health and had a limit of 8 words to deliver it, what would it
Okay.
be?
It would be change your food today for a healthier tomorrow.
There
It's
we
just
go. Change your food
that
today for a
simple.
healthier tomorrow.
Yep.
All right, my guest has been Cari Kamp. Cari, tell folks how they can find out more about you and maybe get in touch with you so they can maybe hire you to coach them.
Thank you. You can go to my website. It's Camp Tidbits. It's like a tidbit of information. So it's my last name, Camp Tidbits. You can also email me at info@camptidbits.com. I do free consultations. You can book that right on my website. I always want to know if it's a fit for somebody. There's never any pressure, and always want to be able to help anybody who's ready to get healthier.
Very good. Appreciate your time with us. This has
Thank
been
you.
the Predictive
Awesome.
Health Clinic, and we'll talk to you next time.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Are you a healthcare practitioner eager to escape the grind of corporate medicine?
Are you ready to make a massive difference in your world? Listen up.
We are the Wizard of Ads.
For 40 years, we've created dominant brands in a variety of industries.
Now, we're bringing our magic to healthcare.
We're seeking one extraordinary healthcare practitioner to help us build the first national brand in direct primary care.
If you think you could be that person, let's talk.
Email us at health@wizardofads.com.
Tell us why you think you're the one.
That's health@wizardofads.com.